Every individual has a unique movement. Rhythmic patterns of our walks, gestures, and emotional states are very dependent of weight, form, shape, space, and personality. The 12 principles of animation originated as a method for creating believable movement and authentic characterization. To create subtle layers of meaning within their stories, animators should use the 12 principles with their own creative flair. The first principle being squash and stretch. Squash and stretch is a principle that an object or a character, it maintains its original volume, but it changes shape by squashing and stretching. If an animator wishes to have their character or object look more cartoony, they will exaggerate the squash and stretch, and if they wish to have it look more realistic, they will go for a softer approach. Another very important principle when animating a character to ensure it doesn't look mechanical is arcs. Arcs are everywhere. An arc is the visual path of an action or object. Objects with different builds and weights travel in different arcs. For example, a robot's arm travels in an angular movement, while a dancer's arm travels in a circular fashion. Anticipation is used to communicate to the viewers what is about to happen. With this clue, the audience knows to watch for something and this way should not miss the action. Follow-through and overlapping follows the theory that things don't stop all at once. First, there's one part, then there's another. An example of this principle is how hair and fur move at different rates when a character is walking and will continue to move once the character is stopped. Slow in and slow out is another example of how to ensure the action is natural. As any object or person moves or comes to a stop, there needs to be a time for acceleration and deceleration. Secondary action is something else that the character is doing. It supports the main action. Secondary action establishes atmosphere, reveals the character, or explains a situation. For example, in this video, the action with the filing cabinet in the first shot turns the character into someone real. It is hard to design a good creative secondary action if you are unsure about who your character is, what their situation is, or what they are feeling at that moment. Timing is a very important principle because without giving it thought, you would change the entire persona of your character or object. It gives meaning to the movement. The speed of action defines how well the idea will be read to the audience. Timing determines the weight of an object. If a character is light, their movements will be faster. If a character is heavy, their movements will be slower. Another powerful tool for storytelling is staging. The use of staging can inform an audience about character and narrative. Staging is connected to acting, timing, cinematography, and setting. When an animator understands staging, he or she controls the attention of the audience and helps drive the story. To convey exaggeration in character poses and action, other animation principles previously explained are used: squash and stretch, staging, arcs, secondary action, and timing. These exaggerated principles will help to ensure the character is more dynamic. Appeal is a principle that ensures animators design appealing characters that an audience will be drawn to. This does not mean that all characters have to be stunningly beautiful, but that they have to capture the audience's interest. When creating appeal, you should consider staging, exaggeration, and whether your pose design is a readable silhouette, has opposing hips and shoulders, or is asymmetrical. When animating, there is 2 techniques on how to sequence a character's poses. These are the straight ahead and pose-to-pose techniques. The straight ahead technique means that you pose your character in sequence order. Using this technique has very little planning. The pose-to-pose technique involves drawing out the key poses first, and then secondly, the breakdown and in-between poses are filled in to create the rest of the animation. Solid drawings is a principle both important for 2D and 3D animation. You need to consider drawing your character accurately in regard to volume and weight, and ensure the correct weight balance is used. Upon investigation of these principles, it has been clear that there are very common factors that need to be considered when animating characters and when using the different principles. This includes weight, personality, character, mood, size, shape, types of material. Without first really understanding your character, it would be impossible to use these principles correctly and to their full potential.